judges don't have these authorities. Well, that's what judges do. But before we go too much further, I just want to address the fact that it is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And I don't ever want, no matter how hard our administration is going to attempt to try to eliminate history, by erasing history, by changing history, by manipulating the narratives, we're not going to let that happen. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech from August the 28th, 1963. So here we are.
Martin Luther King, Jr. I am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. Five score years ago, a great American in whose symbolic shadow we stand today signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This momentous decree came as a great beacon light of hope to millions of Negro slaves who had been seared in the flames of withering injustice. It came as a joyous daybreak to end the long night of their captivity. But 100 years later, the Negro still is not free. 100 years later, the life of the Negro is still sadly crippled by the manacles of segregation and the chains of discrimination. 100 years later, the Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. 100 years later, the Negro is still languished in the corners of American society and finds himself in exile in his own land. And so we've come here today to dramatize a shameful condition. In a sense, we've come to our nation's capital to cash a check. When the architects of our republic wrote the magnificent words of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, they were signing a promissory note to which every American was to fall heir. This note was a promise that all men, yes, black men as well as white men, would be guaranteed the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is obvious today that America has defaulted on this promissory note insofar as her citizens of color are concerned. Instead of honoring this sacred obligation, America has given the Negro people a bad check, a check which has come back marked insufficient funds. But we refuse to believe that the Bank of Justice is bankrupt. We refuse to believe that there are insufficient funds in the great vaults of opportunity of this nation. So we've come to cash this check, a check that will give us upon demand the riches of freedom and the security of justice. We have also come to this hallowed spot to remind America of the fierce urgency of now. This is no time to engage in the luxury of cooling off or to take the tranquilizing drug of gradualism. Now is the time to make real the promises of democracy. Now is the time to rise from the dark and desolate valley of segregation to the sunlit path of racial justice. Now is the time to lift our nation from the quicksands of racial injustice to the solid rock of brotherhood. Now is the time to make justice a reality for all of God's children. It would be fatal for the nation to overlook the urgency of the moment. This sweltering summer of the Negro's legitimate discontent will not pass until there is an invigorating autumn of freedom and equality. 1963 is not an end, but a beginning. Those who hope that the Negro needed to blow off steam and will now be content will have a rude awakening if the nation returns to business as usual. There will be neither rest nor tranquility in America until the Negro is granted his citizenship rights. The whirlwinds of revolt will continue to shake the foundations of our nation until the bright day of justice emerges. But that is something that I must say to my people who stand on the warm threshold which leads into the palace of justice. In the process of gaining our rightful place, we must not be guilty of wrongful deeds. Let us not seek to satisfy our thirst for freedom by drinking from the cup of bitterness and hatred. We must forever conduct our struggle on the high plane of dignity and discipline. We must not allow our creative protests to degenerate into physical violence. Again and again, we must rise to the majestic heights of meeting physical force with soul force. The marvelous new militancy which has engulfed the Negro community must not lead us to a distrust of all white people. For many of our white brothers, as evidenced by their presence here today, have come to realize that their destiny is tied up with our destiny. And they have come to realize that their freedom is inextricably bound to our freedom. We cannot walk alone. And as we walk, we must make the pledge that we shall always march ahead. We cannot turn back. There are those who are asking the devotees of civil rights, when will you be satisfied? We can never be satisfied as long as the Negro is the victim of the unspeakable horrors of police brutality. We can never be satisfied as long as our bodies, heavy with the fatigue of travel, cannot gain lodging in the motels of the highways and the hotels of the cities. We cannot be satisfied as long as the Negro's basic mobility is from a smaller ghetto to a larger one. We can never be satisfied as long as our children of their selfhood and robbed of their dignity by signs stating for whites only. We cannot be satisfied as long as a Negro in Mississippi cannot vote and a Negro in New York believes he has nothing for which to vote. No, we are not satisfied, and we will not be satisfied until justice rolls down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. I am not unmindful that some of you have come here out of great trials and tribulations. Some of you have come fresh from narrow jail cells. Some of you have come from areas where your quest for freedom left you battered by the storms of persecution and staggered by the winds of police brutality. You have been the veterans of creative suffering. Continue to work with the faith that unearned suffering is redemptive. Go back to Mississippi. Go back to Alabama. Go back to South Carolina. Go back to Georgia. Go back to Louisiana. Go back to the slums and ghettos of our northern cities. Knowing that somehow this situation can and will be changed. Let us not wallow in the valley of despair. I say to you today, my friend, so even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, one day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, and every hill and mountain shall be made low. The rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. This is our hope. This is a faith that I go back to the South with. With this faith, we will do out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together. knowing that we will be free one day. This will be the day. This will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning, "My country, tears of thee. Sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And if America is to be a great nation, this must become true. And so let freedom ring. From the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire, let freedom ring. From the mighty mountains of New York, let freedom ring. From the heightening Alleghenies of Pennsylvania, let freedom ring. From the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado, let freedom ring. From the curvaceous slopes of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi, from every mountainside. Let freedom ring. And when this happens, and when we allow freedom ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, "Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last."
Such a simple promise, really, right? Such a simple promise. The Emancipation Proclamation wasn't enough. 13th Amendment wasn't enough. 14th Amendment wasn't enough. Civil Rights Act wasn't enough. Voting Rights Act wasn't enough. Assaults on the 14th Amendment as it sits today. I mean, that speech was what, 50 plus years ago? Almost 60 years ago now. And it's, I've read so much about Dr. Martin Luther King that he'd be the first person to forgive his assailant. And here we are, a system built by people who look like me to benefit people who look like me, to protect people who look like me. Just such a simple promise, right? Such a simple promise, right? We, as a nation, the pursuit of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, let freedom ring. Just such a simple promise for our country. Back when the country was chartered, it was based on some fundamental tenets. Law and order, and the desire for democracy. And obviously, we know that it was never designed and created for equality for all, but the promise is still there, right? Which is part of the reason why we are all so angry. And the fight continues. So thank you, Dr. King. So thank you all for being here. Again, we know you have many choices to make every single day, and we're grateful that you choose to spend some time with us. If you're not working today, if you're not in school today, or whatever you're doing today, hang out with us for a few hours. I'm Steve Facts. If you don't follow me, please consider doing so here. There's a gifting goal today, although I think it just got suspended again. Please consider joining our team. Tapping is clapping, liking is loving, sharing is caring. We are crowd-funded here. You want to support the channel, you can do so at Factsstillmatter at the various spots around the interwebs. We have a lot to kind of cover today. This whole situation with the Nobel Prize just cracks me up. So there are memes flying everywhere. In case, looks like gifting is back, so thank you. In case you didn't know obviously it's Milli Vanilli. You might remember that controversy where actually a former partner of mine, she was actually in a Milli Vanilli video, and she tells me this story about how people on the set knew that they were not actually singing, but they got multiple Grammys. So, here you go. Anyway, it's so comical. So we'll touch on that a little bit later. But again, we have a lot to cover today. In the dark of night, the Department of Justice decides that they're going to continue to protect predators. We've got to talk about the trade bazooka. If you know about the trade bazooka from Europe. Europe's not fucking around. The threats continue to take over Greenland or to buy Greenland. The rhetoric continues connected to that. But like I said, I had some massive technical difficulties just before we went on the air, and I lost my show spreadsheet that I work off of. So I'm going to have to kind of rebuild that as we go. But I first want to, again, thank you guys all for being here. Real quick, I want to talk about this situation, this thing that's called the Board of Peace. I'm not sure if you guys have heard about this, but actually, before I do that, I want to say this. Hang on one sec. Okay. We often, thank you, Swishy Raiders. Appreciate you guys. Hearts in the chat for Swishy Raiders. It's easy for us to really get frustrated with people on the right. Let me back up a second. I want to call out some left-leaning creators because there's all this talk about Trump talking about canceling the last elections, and you guys are taking the fucking bait. Stop. Stop the fear-mongering. That's exactly what they want you to do. Okay, we all need to be aware of what's happening. We all need to be aware of this rhetoric, but stop saying, well, that's it, they're going to cancel the. That's what they want you to do. They're asking you to suppress your own vote. And we've got people on the left, prominent creators on the left that are going out there and say, oh, I know for a fact. Stop. Just fucking stop. It's the most, they're literally giving you the bait and you're taking it. Stop doing it. Just stop. Okay? I'm not even going to play the fucking sound from these people because it's ridiculous. Exactly. Don't comply in advance. That's what they want. Exactly. Concerns are not facts. So everybody, please just stop with the nonsense. They want everybody to be afraid. They, just because, you drove by a particular community on a Saturday afternoon and there's nobody in the street, that does not mean people are not going to show up to vote in an election in 10 months. Enough, please. Thank you for allowing me to get on my soapbox there for a second. But it's ridiculous that we take the fucking bait. Have we not learned our lesson? It's exactly what they want. It's exactly what they want. Of course you'd say that, True Seeker, because you're a liar. All right, I want to talk about this whole Board of Peace thing. I'm not sure if you've heard about this, but as we always discuss in this show we've been doing this forever, it's a reminder about follow the money, right? So everything you can point to, all the policy changes, all the rhetoric, there's usually something connected to it, and it's always about the dollar, the green, the gold, whatever it might be. So there is this new thing that the president has created called the Board of Peace. I am not sure if you've heard about this, but this is reporting from Reuters. Governments reacted cautiously on Sunday to President Trump's invitation to join his Board of Peace initiative aimed at resolving conflicts globally, a plan that diplomats said could harm the work of the United Nations. Only Hungary, whose leader is close to Trump ally, gave an unequivocal acceptance in response to the invitation, which has been addressed to some 60 nations and began arriving in European capitals on Saturday, according to diplomats. Vladimir Putin, by the way, also invited to join the Board of Peace. $1 billion, and you too can join the Board of Peace. Other governments appeared reluctant to make public statements, leaving officials to express concerns anonymously about the impact on the work of the UN. The board would be chaired for life by Trump, and would start by addressing the Gaza conflict and be expanded to other conflicts, according to a copy of the letter and draft charter seen by Reuters. Member states would be limited to 3-year terms unless they pay $1 billion each to the fund to fund the board's activities and earn permanent membership, the letter states. They're talking about like this. I'm not sure if it's a counter to the UN Security Council, whatever it might be. But I mean, this is why I think it's so simple for us. And I know we get frustrated with our friends on the right, but now I am in full fucking mock petty mode. I mean, imagine a group of people that are just like, they're now like, oh, it's a great idea. Nothing to see here. Just give us $1 billion. Mr. Trump will run it. No, never mind the $500 million, the $50 million, 50 million barrels of oil that he got from Venezuela. They're now putting in a slush fund overseas managed by the Qatari government that Trump is the lead name on. Nothing to see there. No fraud connected to any of that. Of course not. No fraud connected to any of the investments in access to the ballroom. No fraud in anything that World Liberty Financial has done. None of that. But Nick Shirley uncovers fraud in Minnesota. You people are so fucking, I won't say it. You're not the brightest bulbs in the tree. And here's the weird part about it. We're going to get it exactly. Grifftopia, good call, Toodle. We're going to talk about what the DOJ did in the middle of the night on Friday night. They do things like that. They take the baby out with the bathwater, right? You use Friday night in politics, late night in particular, Friday night, to push information out that you don't want people to see. So the DOJ basically says, listen, we don't agree with what Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna had said about getting a special master involved to go through the millions of documents that they don't have. And now the Department of Justice saying, well, they can't tell us what to do. So again, I'm listening to fucking lives over the weekend, and people are asking questions like, why is the administration breaking the law? Why? Why is the administration breaking a law that they signed? And you know what their response is? People should sue. Not the fact that they're breaking the law, literally saying, okay, here's the situation. The law has been signed, passed by the House unanimously, except for one person, Clay Higgins, passed by the Senate unanimously, right? Signed into law by the president, the Epstein File Transparency Act, and they're violating the law. Now they're saying we should not have oversight by a judge. That's what our system is, systems of checks and balances. Each division, each branch in our government checks the other. That's how it's supposed to work. They're not fulfilling their obligation to follow the law, and the defenders of predators, MAGA supporters are like, well, people should just sue. No one wants to answer that question. So mock them, shame them, laugh at them, get under their skin. Literally be the pepper spray, the figurative pepper spray in their face. You people care about law and order? You don't give a fuck about law and order. You violate it every day, and then laugh at them. Just mock them, because that's what they need. They need to be mocked. They need to be laughed at. They need to be shamed. Although it won't work, that's what I think we should be doing. Thank you for that, Gabby. Appreciate you. Thank you, guys. That's pretty cool. Thanks. It's all part of their plan. I know. It's all part of their plan. I get it. So anyway, back to this whole thing. This simply offers permanent membership to partner countries who demonstrate deep commitment to peace, security, and prosperity, the White House said. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, visiting South Korea, told reporters her country was ready to do our part, although it was not clear whether she was specifically referring to Gaza or the broader peace. Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney said on Sunday he had agreed to Trump's Board of Peace for Gaza in principle, although details were still being worked out. A mandate, so Canada, you cool with that? Okay. A mandate for a Board of Peace was authorized by the United Nations Security Council in November, but only through 2027 and solely focused on the Gaza conflict. Russia and China, two veto-wielding powers, abstained, complaining that the resolution did not give the UN a clear role in the future of Gaza. They made the offer to Vladimir Putin as well. Vladimir Putin. And I want people to think about this, right? As we joke about the fucking Peace Prize. This guy who's basically threatening World War III by wanting to take a NATO country, has bombed, 8 countries total this year or more, ramping up his rhetoric to go after Iran, blaming European nations for not supporting his directive to take over Greenland, and now has the largest law enforcement agency, I think, that has ever existed in the United States, arresting and detaining U.S. citizens and then murdering some in cold blood. And he thinks he deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. And again, the mocking of our friends on the right, but no new war. Well, these aren't wars. Well, what would you call them? Well, we're just being tough. It's fucking hilarious to me. That's why we need to manipulation of the media. Okay, so you're going to hear segments of the same interview or press conference, and you're going to hear the difference between the. Thank you, the selective editing that you hear from Fox. I'll give Liz Curry, who's the person who did this video, credit. So here you go. This is an example of the manipulation of the minds of MAGA.
Fox News.
Residents that are asking the very limited number of police officers that we have to fight ICE agents on the street, to stand by their neighbors.
Fry says fight ICE. Urging police to fight ICE agents. Again, it's insanity.
That's insane.
Exactly. So that's the point. So they play that they play that segment, right? So why don't we listen to the full interview and find out what he actually said?
If that had been what he said.
Have residents that are asking the very limited number of police officers that we have to fight ICE agents on the street, to stand by their neighbors. We cannot be at a place right now in America where we have two governmental entities that are literally fighting one another.
She's just sitting there by herself being a lying sack of shit.
So that, to me, is a perfect example of similar things that they do. Like they'll pick certain segments of the interview and they'll play it, and their base will hear it and say, look at that. The mayor of Minneapolis is telling the residents and the police officers to fight. No. Not even close to what they said. Not even close. It's almost like the selective verses of the Bible that they pull out, or they'll edit, or the selective elements or the manipulation of the Second Amendment will say, hey, right of the citizens keep bear arms, shall not be infringed. Well, what about the rest? This is what happens when you don't have media literacy, or this is what happens when you listen to propaganda and nothing else. It's not good. It's not good at all, because of the lies that have been told time and time and time and time and time again, over and over. I'll remind you, right, that I think there's 25 or 30 former Fox employees that now work in the administration. Fox News that was sued, that settled for $750 million because of their lies and their dishonesty. And then the response from the right is always, well, everybody lies. Okay. I just think it's incredibly important that we keep in mind where our friends on the right are being manipulated and how. When you are the recipient of the muzzle velocity of misinformation every single day, then you believe it. And that is exactly what autocrats and fascists do. That's what they do. This is how they take over, because they've convinced their flock that the only sources of the truth are what comes from the administration itself. Period. That's it. And they use state-run media, which is Fox, which is Newsmax, which is OAN, which are podcasters, etc. They use them to help manipulate. It's a dictatorial, autocratic characteristic. Every single time, find an autocrat or an authoritarian government in history, and you will find the exact same pattern. We will use the news to manipulate it. Even if we have a news story that doesn't support us, we'll edit it. We'll cut it. We'll manipulate it. CBS and Barry Weiss, yep. Same thing. Just like the story that we've all watched the videos. We know what happened in Minneapolis. We know what happened with Renee Good. We know. We saw it happen in real time. We saw her wheels turned. We saw her going to the right. We saw Jonathan Ross leaning over the hood of the car. We saw it all happen with our eyes, and they're just absolutely going to lie about it, because that's all they have left. That's it. That's literally all they have left. So we'll continue to cover that a little bit today, but I think this whole Board of Peace thing is just wild to me, because it's more the grift. Okay. Let me see here. So just give me a couple minutes. I need to rebuild a couple of things, but I will get there. Everybody keep tapping. Liking is loving, tapping is clapping, sharing is caring. So I've got this little story that I'm going to play for you guys or read to you. NPR has been doing some amazing reporting. And this is about the manipulation of the truth, right? The opportunities that they want to erase history. Or I should say the administration is taking every opportunity they can to erase history, right? So NPR has been doing this really extensive work on how the administration is just rewriting history as it relates to J6 specifically. As you all know, on the anniversary of January 6th, when we had that just a couple weeks back, the White House put out their version of history, like literally blaming Capitol Police officers, right? We all watched the events of that day. We all know what happened. We all know that people went to jail. We all know that there were, I did see the letter. Yeah, I'm going to cover that in just a moment. I'll read the Truth Social post. I'm not going to read the letter because I can only take so much of his words. Anyway, the manipulation of the truth. So Trump tried to bury evidence of the J6 riot. NPR's archive preserves the facts. As the Trump administration tries to rewrite the history of the J6 attack on the Capitol, a new NPR investigative project is preserving evidence of the crimes committed that day. In the immediate aftermath of the in the aftermath of J6 attack on the Capitol, American political leaders almost universally condemned the riot as an act of domestic terrorism that threatened democracy. Now President Trump calls J6 a day of love and the rioters great patriots. And since he issued mass pardons to the rioters, his administration has been trying to rewrite history. NPR has tracked every January 6th prosecution in a public database and drawing on thousands of hours of footage and years of reporting created a frontline account of the riot. The evidence vividly shows the planning for the revolution and the brutality of violence on a day that continues to shape American politics. Heading into the 2020 presidential election, the country was engulfed by an overlapping crisis, the C-19 pandemic and prolonged lockdowns, along with mass protests, counter-protests, and at times, violent unrest following the police murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis. During a presidential debate between Trump and Joe Biden, Trump was asked whether he would condemn violence from the far right as well as the far left. Here's the exchange. This is a transcript. Trump, do you want to call them? What do you want to call them? Give me a name. Give me a name. Go ahead. Who would you like me to condemn? Chris Wallace, moderator. White supremacists and racists. Joe Biden, Proud Boys. Wallace, white supremacists and white militias. Biden, Proud Boys. Trump, Proud Boys. Stand back and stand by. But I'll tell you what, somebody's got to do something about Antifa and the left, because this is not a right-wing problem. This is a left-wing problem. Imagine that. Thinking back in hindsight now, right, to that fateful debate, I think about that moment specifically because I don't think it got covered enough, right? That asked to condemn them on a debate stage, and he wouldn't do it. And we know the overwhelming majority of politically oriented violence comes from the right. There's no debate about it because we can look at Patriot Front, we can look at Oath Keepers, we can look at the Proud Boys, we can look at the Three Percenters, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All these white supremacy organizations and these sort of pro-American groups are all on the right. They're all on the right. So again, stand back and stand by. And this is quote again, Proud Boys, stand back and stand by. But I'll tell you what, somebody's got to do something about Antifa and the left, because this is not a right-wing problem. This is a left-wing problem. Okay. The Proud Boys, a right-wing street gang with a history of violence, received a boost in membership following Trump's comments. Ahead of the 2020 election, Trump repeatedly claimed that the only way he could lose was through cheating. Quote, and hopefully we have judges that are going to give it a fair call, because if they give it a fair call, we're going to win this election. The only way they can take this election away from us is if it's a rigged election. We're going to win this election. We're going to win this election. That was the summer of 2020 leading up to that election. In fact, it goes back further than that. He'd already planted the seed that the only way we can lose is if they rig it. And when you have an easily manipulated base, AKA a cult, thank you, Norma, appreciate you. The only way we can do that would be to convince them otherwise. He knew he was going to lose. He knew it. He knew he was going to lose in 2020. And so the only way to do that was to tell his base the only way we'll lose is if they cheat. Sure enough, when he lost, J6 happened. So again, I'll remind everybody, you patriots out there, you Trump supporters, J6 would not have happened if Trump had just accepted the results of the election, period. On election night, long before the election, officials or news networks had, on election night, long before election officials or news networks had declared a winner, Trump claimed that he had won and that the election was being stolen from him. Quote, "This is a fraud on the American public. This is an embarrassment to our country. We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election." Again, fucking lies. Absolute lies. Almost immediately, Trump, his campaign, and his allies were leading what they called the Stop the Steal movement. Courts across the country almost universally rejected the Trump campaign's claims of widespread election fraud or other irregularities. Inside the Trump campaign, officials privately acknowledged that they had found no evidence of fraud that could have changed the outcome. State election officials also certified Joe Biden's victory, but Trump continued to pressure them. A central focus of Stop the Steal was a protest movement led in part by right-wing activists such as InfoWars host Alex Jones, longtime Trump ally Roger Stone, and the YT nationalist and Holocaust denier Nick Fuentes. And on December the 19th, 2020, Trump posted on Twitter, Peter Navarro releases 36-page report alleging election fraud, more than sufficient to swing victory to Trump. A great report by Peter. Statistically impossible to have lost the 2020 election. Big protest in D.C. on J6. Be there. Will be wild. Okay, so that's the call to arms. So that right there, the president of the United States is responsible for January 6th. Big protest in D.C. on January 6th. Be there. Will be wild. All for months, 4 months, you were telling your voters that the only way you could lose was if they cheated. For months. Not just one tweet, not just one speech, but everywhere you went. Everywhere you went. In fact, on election night, you even told them that you won. So you got them angry. Then you got them angrier, and you got them angrier, and you got them angrier. And sure enough, you called them to arms to come to D.C. on January 6th, and they did. Which again shows everybody the power he had over his easily manipulated base. If he did not make that statement, if he did not talk about Stop the Steal, if he did not talk about this rally that we know his supporters funded, Turning Point funded it, groups supported by Ginny Thomas, Clarence Thomas's wife, et cetera, all these groups that were in support of him funded the travel to DC because the president told them to go, period, told them to be there. That day, Congress J6 was set to meet to certify the election, a process that is typically ceremonial. But Trump was pressuring Vice President Pence and the Republicans in Congress to try to reject Biden's victory. Even before Trump's tweet, Sam Andrews, whom prosecutors described as a longtime oath keeper, appeared in a podcast where he encouraged Trump supporters to travel to D.C. armed. Federal prosecutors presented evidence that members of the Oath Keepers circulated this video ahead of the attack on the Capitol. Andrew was not charged in connection with the J6 riot. Prior to J6, John Richter posted a video of himself loading bullets with election-related news played in the background. Prosecutors later introduced this video at Richter's trial, where he was convicted of multiple charges before breaching the Capitol. Again, this is what happened, okay? This is the reality of what happened that day. Not only that day, but leading up to that day. And the administration was attempting, okay, you see what I mean? Look at this. Look at this. Jason, look at what the BS going on in Minneapolis, way worse. So John, of course that would be worse to you because it doesn't support your argument, John. See, John, here's the thing. So when I ask you this question, John, I guarantee the way you're going to answer is you're either not going to answer or you're going to pivot around it. Why is the law and order president breaking the law by not releasing the Epstein files? Think about that, will you, John? So here we go, right? So here's an attempt to rewrite history. Who's telling the truth? Our eyes aren't lying to us. We all saw what happened that day. We all saw 140 police officers or more beaten, fire extinguishers, flag poles, bear spray, you name crutches. We saw it. We saw it happen. We saw police officers being crushed in the door. We saw Brian Sicknick lose his life because of the assault on him the next day. We saw people that, again, that who were there, who were trampled. We saw Michael Fanone, isn't that his name? Yeah, Michael Fanone have his taser taken from him and tased. That is, they attempted to take his own firearm. We saw what happened. We know what happened. We know what happened that day. We just like we know what happened in Minneapolis. Just like we know what's happening across the country. And this is my point about how easily manipulated his voters are and have become. I don't know. I don't know how we convince them otherwise, but we'll continue to try. Good morning, Tony. How are you today? Tony?
Hello.
Tony, are you there? Hello? Tony, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Did you want to talk?
I do want to say something. Could you just spread the word that what Trump is doing is trying to call for an insurrection act, so that way us Democrats won't be able to vote because all the voting is going to stop. Please spread that word.
But that's what they want people to think, Tony. Okay, that's my point. That's what they want people to think. Okay, we're not gonna take the bait. Make sure you're registered to vote. Make sure you know where your polling location is. Make sure your neighbors know where their polling location is, and get in line and be prepared to vote. Okay.
Yes, I will. Thank you so much for everything you do for us.
Thank you, friend. I appreciate you.
Spreading the word.
All right, be safe out there. We're not going to take that bait, friends. That's exactly what they want, and we're not going to take it. We're not going to take the bait. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. That's what they want. People on the left are doing the exact same thing. We're not going to let them do it. That's exactly what they want. It's the fear monger. They tell you this stuff in advance. It's all a scare tactic, and I am really disappointed by certain people on the left that are spreading the same message, and I just don't get it. Truth Seeker, good morning.
Hello. Good morning, sir.
Hello. How are you?
Hello. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
I'm hearing you talk about this fear mongering, and I think that's reasonable. You make some reasonable points. However, I think we should cancel the elections. I hope he's gonna do it.
So you're not an American.
Yes, I am, but we're in.
No, you're not. You know why I know you're not? Because there's not an American who's not in a cult that would say something like that we should cancel elections.
Yeah, but democracy has failed us, dude. You gotta. We're in 2026.
Again, that's not. No. That's your opinion. Those are your feelings. Would you like to try to have a conversation? Because all you're talking about are your feelings.
I have facts behind it.
No, you don't. You don't have facts. You have feelings about canceling the election. Those are feelings.
Okay, but it's an opinion based on.
Okay. No, it's not an opinion based on facts. It's your feelings. All right. So in our country, this is a democratic constitutional republic, which means we have the Constitution is our system of government. We are a representative democracy because we vote for people who represent us. That's how our country was founded. That's how our country was built. And what you're saying, because you feel like democracy isn't working for us, that we should just cancel elections and become a dictatorship, a monarchy?
Yes, I could tell you why if you want to know why I believe this.
So those are your feelings, right?
It's my opinion. I wouldn't say feelings. It's a logic. I'm thinking with logic. I don't feel any way about it.
Oh, you're not thinking with logic, sir. You're not thinking with logic. If you again, this is what you're not understanding. Okay, do we vote in our country currently for the people who represent us? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, so our system was built on that, and because your feelings say that democracy doesn't work, that we should just cancel elections and then leave a fascist in charge?
But it doesn't make sense to me logically. Let me tell you why. I want the most competent person to lead the country.
And that's Donald Trump?
No, not necessarily.
Who would it be then? So how do we determine that? So how do we determine competence? Is that opinion?
By letting only competent people vote. So
Wait, you said by electing. But you said electing. That would require an election.
Yes, but not by everybody. We can't have everyone vote. We need to have only the competent people vote.
Who? So who's competent then?
Business owners. Only business owners or land owners should be able to vote.
Oh, business owners or landowners, those are the only people that should vote?
Yes.
Why is that?
Well, for example, they're already deciding what you should do in your work.
I'm asking you why. No, I'm asking you why. Why is it that only business owners and landowners should vote? White supremacists. Tell me why.
They are the only ones who have shown themselves to be competent and leading other people. If you're a
business
worker,
owners, so hold on. So business owners and landowners. So don't you think they would be voting for their own self-interest?
not only that would mean that everyone is selfish, and I don't think that's how the world or society works.
Okay, so we could look at business owners, or we could look at landowners, and if the majority of those people were men, would you be okay with excluding women from voting?
No, not if it's a landowner or business owner woman. She's
so only if they own land
or a business.
Or a business. If you don't own a business, so if you work for someone, you don't have a say?
Yes, then your boss is the one who's deciding.
So your boss who has an opportunity to influence how much money they can make, they should vote, but the person who's helping them make the money has no say?
Yes. The boss is already deciding for you. The boss is already telling you what clothes you should wear, when you should go to the toilet.
No, they don't. That's actually, those are just corporate policies. Do you understand what you're saying is from the white supremacist playbook, right?
No, I'd like this for Africa too. So let the black people do the same.
Again, I'm asking you, do you understand that what you're saying is from the white supremacist playbook, right? That's exactly what this is.
I haven't read that playbook, so I don't know.
Well, you probably should. So here's the thing, though. I'd like to start again. All right. What did you have for breakfast today?
I haven't had any breakfast today.
Good. Nobody fucking cares. Wow. There's lots of people who think that way. Think about the early days of America. That's who voted. Landowners, right? Landowners, business owners, slave owners. They're the ones that sort of put us on the path that we're currently on. But again, nothing to see here. It's totally fine. Don't have an issue with any of that, right? Nothing to see here. Only landowners and business owners should vote. Cool. Good to know. Adriana, how are you this morning?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
So, in regards to what he was saying, that only business owners should vote because they pretty much tell you everything and like how to dress and whatnot. I'm a business owner. I'm a manager. I'm sorry. And we actually had something going on at my job, which is pretty funny. So our boss was pretty much like telling us what to do and telling us that we had no say. And guess what happened? So it's only three employees. So I told them, I said, do you guys want to walk out? And they said they were afraid. And I said, don't be afraid. You're not going to lose your job. Do you want to walk out now? And they were like, well, let me talk to him first. I'm like, go ahead, talk to him. It did not work out. And I said, all right, come on, let's go. I'm like, so what are we going to do about this issue that your wife started up? Are you going to have my employees work comfortably, or are you going to please your wife? What are you going to do? He tried to say we're going to do what he wanted to do. And I'm like, okay, all right. We're leaving.
I'm not sure your point here, Adriana. Can you kind of get to your point?
Which means that business owners work with the country, with working class. It's not, they're saying it's not only what they want us to do. The country works with the working class, with the business owners, with landlords, with the people who rent, the people who buy homes. It's like, it's not only about the rich people.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, first of all, we shouldn't even be talking about it's just a particular category. But anyways, thanks for jumping in today.
And that's exactly what he was saying. And it's like, it's not only about the business owners. It's not only about the landlords. It's like everybody. We all count.
We need more people to vote. You're right. Thanks for being here today, Adriana. I appreciate you. Thanks a lot for jumping in. Have a good day. Be safe out there. Thanks. Yeah, I mean, again, it's just textbook fucking white supremacy Yahtzee bullshit that our friend said. Blue Dot, how are you today?
I am good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
I just came up to say there is nothing in our Constitution that allows the president to stop elections.
I know. That's kind of my point.
Yeah.
That's why I want people. That's why I'm really disappointed in certain people, creators on the left who I thought I respected that I just don't, for spreading that bullshit. They think, oh, I've got inside information. Fuck you, you don't. Fuck you. Yeah. Don't say that bullshit. It's ridiculous.
No, he can invoke martial law. He can do the Insurrection Act. We could be at war, and he still cannot stop elections. That's Ukraine's constitution. It's not ours.
Correct. That's correct. That's exactly right.
That's all I wanted to come say. But I hope you have a great day.
Same to you. Appreciate you very much. Have a good day. Talk to you later.
You too. Bye-bye.
Again, it's just dangerous bullshit rhetoric. Don't believe it. Don't buy into it. Stop. Just stop. It's ridiculous. That's what they want us to think. Good morning, friend. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
So I just woke up and I was hearing, everything. And I have to agree. I don't know, with the distance that I spend away from this app, right, coming back and seeing all of these people actively talking about how Donald has the power to cancel an entire election. I really, really, really want your audience to hone into the fact that there is no premise for that. He can jump up and down. He can be as dictatorial as he wants to. But we, again, are a representative republic. I don't know where this conversation has come from, that like we are not an actual democracy, but quite literally in the United States of America, we the people have power through votes. Now, how you feel about the Electoral College is how you feel about the Electoral College. But at the end of the day, your vote still dictates what happens in the Electoral College, because land cannot vote. I'm going to say this again. Land cannot vote. And no matter what a Tangelo tyrant has to say about winning and being number one, no matter how many Nobel Peace Prizes people hand over that are still registered to him, no matter how many trophies he gets with plaques of other people's names, they will never be his, just like his ability to stop the vote will never be within his power. Sure, he can do a lot of things. Won't argue that. But he can't do that thing. Please get a sincere grip on reality. A firm, tight grip like SpongeBob when he was jellyfish. Just grip it, and stop. Please, for the love of God, stop spreading this information. Also, on the opposite side of that, for people that do not live in the United States of America, and I'm talking to the Swede that was up here a minute ago, you fundamentally don't have an understanding for how the government works if you truly believe that businesses are the ones that possess power in the United States of America. It's been said over and over again. You can own anything you want to own. You can build anything you want to build. But if you don't have the staff and the means of production to keep it going, you have nothing but an idea that you are wasting money on. That is all. Bye, Facts.
Thank you, Buzzy. Good to see you. See you later. Take care. Thank you, friend. Talk to you later. Bye. She's right. Right? I mean, again, it's just this fear-mongering bullshit, and we can't take the fucking bait. We've said this to you guys a million times. For our approach to the news is we would rather be last and accurate than first and wrong. And what people want to do in this world of power and clicks and audiences is say, oh, I've got some inside information. I was sitting with a guy and we were driving down this road in Chicago and this guy said, hey, I've never seen the street so empty. And that means we're not going to have elections. Give me a fucking break. Thank you. Give me a break. It's just fucking bullshit. That's exactly what they want people to think. Stop. Stop doing it. Register to vote. There are elections coming up actually in January, and I'm going to take a moment to go through that list right now. I think I saw that in here. Hang on a second. I said I'm a little bit disorganized this morning, but I will figure it out. Let me see. Hang on one sec. Everybody keep tapping, please. Tapping is clapping, liking is loving, sharing is caring. Tomorrow, there's a state legislative Senate special general election in Georgia, District 18. Also tomorrow in New Hampshire, special primary in Carroll County, District 7. Also tomorrow, Virginia State Legislative House Special General Election, State House District 17. On the 27th, there's a special general in District 47A in Minnesota. Also in Minnesota on the 27th, 64A, again, a state legislative house special general election. The 31st, federal house special general election runoff in Texas 18. That is a seat that will put one more Democrat into the House. And then on the 31st in Texas, another municipal general election. So there's a lot of things happening, right? We've been at war in the past and we've had elections. We've had civil unrest in the past and we've had elections. Now, think of this. Why would they tell you that they don't want to have elections? It's because they know they're going to get destroyed. I think the Senate is in play because of retirements, because of unexpected entries. I think about Mary Patola in Alaska. She's incredibly popular up there. Incredibly popular up there. I would not be surprised to see her win that seat. Tom Tillis retiring in North Carolina, right? That state is becoming more and more blue. It's pretty purple. Very strong. Like I think Roy Cooper is running for that seat. Very, very popular there. I think Susan Collins has been able to, like the cat with 9 lives. I think her political life is up. Lots of energy on that particular race. I think about Ohio. I think Sherrod Brown is back in the race again. Very, very popular. I think about Texas, right? So again, it's a 53-47. Right now, the Democrats have to defend some seats, but I feel like they're in pretty strong position to be able to do that. So again, imagine what that would look like with a House and the Senate. This is both Democrats. Line up the impeachment hearings for Kristi Noem, for Pam Bondi. I want to bring all of them in. All of them in to have them testify. So I am begging you, don't believe the bullshit. Don't believe the bullshit from creators that you trust on the left. I'm not asking you to trust me. I am just asking you not to believe the bullshit. They want you to think the elections aren't going to happen. They want you to think that they've got some special insider information. They're full of fucking shit. That's what they are. They're full of fucking shit. And I've unfollowed some. They're full of fucking shit. Don't listen to it. Stay focused. Stay motivated. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Okay. So I want to play. So in case you didn't know, I'm going to play the sound from, so Sean Ryan is a podcaster who is pretty comfortably on the right. He's I wouldn't say he's full on MAGA, but he's got some right-leaning tendencies. I kind of like him, to be honest. I like the way he does his show. I don't agree with his politics, but I like the way he does his show. So he had Ro Khanna on, and they're talking about the Jeffrey files. So just listen to this conversation. Just listen to his energy connected to this, because this is what we're talking about now. We've got,
how many files are there? There's 300.
He's joined by Ro Khanna. Okay.
Megabits is what Kash Patel said, the FBI director, and they've released 1 so far megabits. So it's like they've released less than 1%.
How is that legal? Isn't it illegal what they're doing?
Well, it's illegal. It's obstruction of justice. A new president could prosecute them for what they're doing. They realize this, and that's why Pam Bondi has now said to the judge, okay, we have millions more documents we need to release. We need more time. And so
why do they need time? It's a fucking digital file. Why do you need time?
So they've got actually 2/3 of the Southern District of New York attorneys working on this, apparently.
Working on what?
On redactions. Look, they need to look for some redactions, which is the survivors. But you know what? They've released some files with the survivors' names, but not the people who abused the survivors' names. So they're claiming that they've got to get the survivors' names out. Fine.
They're legitimate. They are legitimately, proactively protecting pedophiles.
Correct.
They are protecting pedophiles.
Correct.
By redacting
Correct.
the abusers' names.
Correct.
So by
The White House, listen up, everybody. The fucking White House is protecting pedophiles.
Keep that in mind, MAGA. As you're fucking bitching and moaning about saying, oh, well, you know, gas prices are fucking cheaper and we fucking took out Maduro. And you know what? We're going to take Greenland next. You pieces of fucking shit who for years said, we care about protecting children. We don't want men and women's sports. And you voted for a party and you are still supporting a party and a man and an administration who are protecting fucking P3DOs. The fuck is wrong with you? Instead, you're arguing, well, then they should just take it to court. Don't you get it? Don't you fucking care about anything? You are so desperate to deny the fact that your boy is a fucking predator. I'll fucking say it. Donald Trump is a fucking predator. No fucking doubt about it. No doubt about it. I don't need any more proof. I don't need any more. I don't give a shit who's in it. I don't fucking care who's in the fucking file. They're protecting fucking predators. Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me?
You hear that? They're fucking protecting pedophiles. That's what the fuck they're doing.
And they're doing it because these people are rich, because they were donors, because they're powerful politicians. Look, I don't want to stoke baseless allegations, but it's clear to me that there's been some connections to foreign governments.
Yep.
Which foreign governments?
Oh, there's connections of certainly in the files to Israel. We need to know what those connections are. There have been questions and connections to Russia and the Russian oligarchs. Need to know what that information is. And from survivors' lawyers, they're saying there are other national security agencies involved. I mean, think about it. How does Epstein, as a school teacher, end up with $500 million?
It's a great question.
He didn't invent AI. You know, he's not like those founders who come to you doing some tech company. He's there and he's getting money from all these people. And he's got this ring of sex trafficking going on where he's farming out girls to different people. And he's having these parties on Epstein's rape island. Like, how is this not the biggest scandal that you got these rich, powerful people in our...
It is, Ro. It is the biggest scandal. It is absolutely the biggest scandal. But again, what about Biden? Why didn't Biden release the tapes? I don't give a fuck. There's a fucking law now. It's called the Epstein Transparency Act that Donald Trump, the number one fucking predator of them all, if you listen to the Sasha Riley stuff, and if you listen to the information connected to that, it seems very clear to me that at the top of the fucking pinnacle of these crimes against children and girls and boys, was this guy. He was the one. He's the one who was at the top of the list. He's the one having people bring him children. Like it's a fucking dime store. And you fuckers will sit here and fucking defend it. Or try to find a way to skirt around it. Well, what about Biden? Well, Trump's not it. Well, that's fake. Clinton's all over it, but the thousands of times that Trump's mentioned, that's fake. But yeah, exactly. But Hillary's emails.
society who think they get to play by their own set of rules. You know what upsets me, what pisses me off is people like you go and take all this risk with your life in Iraq, in Afghanistan. The guys who, whatever you think of Venezuela, the guys who took the risk of their lives with that, they have this honor to the country, sacrifice for our values. And you got rich and powerful people who think they've made a bunch of money who can exploit American girls or girls who are immigrants and have no consequence and get away with it. It's un-American. It's the most un-American, selfish thing that totally degrades the service of people who do things, honorable things like wear the military uniform and serve the nation. And that's why I want to stick it to them. This whole Epstein class needs to go. And to me, this is the biggest issue in American politics. I mean, I'm biased because it's something I've devoted now a lot of my life to. But if we're going to allow rich and powerful people to do whatever they want in this country, and what's more elite impunity than abusing a young girl, if you're going to allow that, then you don't have a country. You don't have values. You don't have a democracy.
Mm-hmm.
No notes. No notes. They don't have, it's Sean Ryan and Ro Khanna. They have nothing that they can stand on. They will do everything they can to defend it. So the argument that you hear now from again, when I say friends on the right, I'm obviously being sarcastic. What their argument is, well, show me the evidence. I want people to think about that for a second. Right? Show me the evidence. What does that look like? What does it look like? What does that look like? Would you like the hidden camera footage of girls being raped by fucking middle-aged white-haired men? What does that look like? Do you want a handheld camera? You want the snuff film of boys being mutilated? What do you want? What does that look like to you? Even then, you wouldn't believe it. Even then. Exactly. Good point, Bren. The evidence is the cover-up. If you've got nothing to hide, then all the information should be out there. Instead, it's one fucking lie after another. One lie.